Alright, so today is March 16th, 2020, and today I decided to go over some questions that I had when I started some seedlings inside. So these are things that I've asked, my mother-in-law's asked, like things that I've read, so it's not going to be too much, but hopefully it'll answer some of your questions. So some of the things we'll be going over are germination, what I think the formula is to encouraging germination or growth, mediums, we're going to go over seed saving, sowing indoors and outdoors, some other things like zones. So I've also got some examples that I'm going to explain here, and hopefully I can answer a couple questions, and you guys can always ask questions in the comments below, and I can try and get to them. You can also send me questions to the Facebook page. It is Laurel Leveroni on Facebook, and I think you can find it at Homesteading Mama 103, but I'm still figuring that out. So let's get started. So question 1 that I wrote down is, what is germination? So germination is the process of going from a dormant seed to a seed ready to sprout. A seed is a baby embryo of a plant, and with the proper conditions, it'll begin to sprout primary roots. One will be going upwards towards the light, looking to find the sun, and it'll open up with leaves, and the other one will go down below, sprouting into a root. So that's how the root system begins. So question 2 was, one second, sorry, I've got notes. Trying not to wing this one. All right. Question 2 is going to be what I think the formula to starting seeds is, and for me, what I've experienced over the last couple years gardening with my mother-in-law is that this year is a lot better than the last couple years. This year we have put up lights. We have seed starting mix, which I'll go over the seed starting mix that we have that's really helped. We've also kept it wet, so like damp but not soaking wet. We've really paid attention to that type of stuff. We've done things like blowing on the plants to stimulate like breezes. We're going to be putting a fan up for it. Let's see, what else did we do for this year that's different? I'm soaking some seeds compared to others. Just a few different things different. So humidity or moisture, light, and another thing is warmth. We have it by a sunny south window. We've also got a wood stove, so the room stays pretty warm. So the formula that I think is correct for encouraging germination is humidity or moisture, light or warmth. Light and warmth, and that helps encourage germination. So number 3 is, what is a medium? So a medium is going to be what you start your seeds in. So for me this year, I've decided to use this Jiffy natural organic seed starting mix, a professional greenhouse quality mix, and is OMRI listed. I've used this year, and my mother-in-law used one other, but I don't remember what it was called. Maybe it was like black gold. But this contains 60 to 70% sphagnum moss, peat moss, vermiculite, coir pith, and lime for pH adjustment. And this stuff has really, really worked. Almost all the seeds that we planted had a really good germination rate. So I really liked it. I transplanted some seedlings the other day, and the medium just kind of fell off from it, and it made it really easy to kind of just get all the roots without damaging them. I thought it might cause stress because all the medium fell off of the roots, but it didn't. The seedlings are looking just fine. So this is the medium that I am using. There are quite a few different mediums. There are baled or bagged peat moss, sphagnum moss or sphagnum peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, soil from the garden, or mixtures like the mixture that I'm using, which is, like I said, OMRI, professional grade, and 60-70% sphagnum, peat moss, vermiculite, coir, pith, and lime for pH adjustment. But our soil is very alkaline, so we don't really need the lime. I just bought it and kind of didn't do any research on it till after I started using it. Kind of jumped in, and when it started working, that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should do a little research on this stuff. And it's been really doing well. So, number 4 on our list is going to be, why should I start indoors? So there's a couple reasons why you should sow your seeds indoors. And that's like, you can eliminate a few problems. You can eliminate the fact that you could buy plants from the store that have disease. So if you have clean new seeds or seeds that were stored properly and, don't have any mold or anything, you're starting with good seeds, so you know that those plants are going to be good. If you're using something like this, it's sterilized, so you know that you're not going to have any weeds coming up with your new seedlings. There's no disease, no fungus, no mold. I found that this stuff holds water really, really well, but I haven't had very many problems with we're starting to get a little bit of fungus and mold on our plants, but that's because we don't have a fan going. So like I said, we have to get a fan up, but this in general, I haven't had any problems with this stuff. What our problems are from is because of what we're lacking. So you're gotta have a good medium, but it can help eliminate the worry of pests, disease, fungus, mold, underwatering, overwatering. If it's cared properly, the seedling, most times when you start from seed inside, you don't really get weeds, and most times when it's cared for properly, you'll get these really big juicy fruit and like a really awesome plant. So that's why you should start indoors. Also, you can protect it from, you can get a jump start on the season. For example, I can't plant corn outside right now, but I've got 27 out of 75 corn sprouts inside with our plants. So as soon as the ground does warm up, I'll have pretty decent sized corn sprouts to transplant straight into the ground and get a jump start on the season's corn. So there's some reasons why you should start indoors. Starting seeds outdoors, there's some seeds that are really good to start sowing in the spring right outside. So a few of them are like, let's see, which page was that on? Right here. Some that are really good to just sow outside and that are really good for beginners are beans, carrots, beets, cucumbers, corn, radish, peas, lettuce, spinach, and scallions. And some flowers that are good to start for beginners are, for an annual, sunflowers, annual poppies, or calendulas. You've got half-hardy annuals, petunias or marigolds, biennials, Canterbury bells or wallflowers, perennials, tulips, and daffodils. So those are some flowers that are good for beginners and some vegetables that are good to direct sow outside that are good for beginners. So we're going to move on to question 6. And that's going to be well, the beginner flower ones was for question 6, so we're on question 7. I really should have done this in a better order. Alright, question 7. What is a zone? You need to know a little bit about the zones in your area because your zone is going to indicate about when your first and last frost dates are going to be and what's going to be able to grow in your area. So, for example, I'm in zone 7B. An avocado tree can't really grow in 7B because of how high we are, how cold it is. In Ash Fork, we don't have a designated first or last frost date. We have Williams and Seligman. So this year I'm going to do a project where I take Williams and Seligman's first and last frost dates, and I will record the temperatures here in Ash Fork the day before and the day after and the day of those frost dates. And we're going to see if I can find like an average last frost date in those couple days and compare it to a week's worth of temperatures for that week. We're going to see if we can nail down what our zone's last frost date is in 7B. So for right now, from the estimates for Seligman and Williams, the last and first are going to be, let's see, Williams' last is May 23rd. Seligman's last is May 29th. Seligman's first is October 7th. And Williams' first is October 5th. So yeah, you really got to do some research on your zones because you need to make sure that you've got plants that can grow in your area. Most times, the local stores that sell plants like Home Depot and Lowe's and all that, those are geared for this area. So like the plants they send to Texas are going to be acclimated for a different weather. These were started like here, they're for here. You know, Home Depot's not going to sell you a plant that's not going to be able to grow in this area. So number 8 was, what is thinning? Thinning is when you separate seedlings. So if you have 2 seedlings in one, for example, you can use this to start your seedlings in. You would just put dirt in these and then put your seeds and wet it, close it to help keep the humidity in there, and put it in a sunny spot. Once the sprouts decide to start coming up, that's when you'd open it and let them get some sunshine and some air. That's when you want to put a fan on it. But let's say there's 2 corn sprouts in this. I'm going to have to separate them, and I can either just pull them apart or you can snip one and keep the healthy one. But that's basically what thinning is. Thinning is when you separate seedlings from one another, save the healthier of the 2, and you can pull them apart or snip the weaker of the 2 off. So that's question 8. And question 9. Question 9. All right, so question 9 really isn't a question, more as an explanation. So there are seed handling techniques that help encourage germination. So there are 3 of them, 3 main ones, and that's scarification, which is where you make abrasions or punctures into the seed with a nail file or something along those lines. And that's where it helps, like, the roots. That way the roots can help break out of the shell easier. It does take practice to be able to penetrate deep enough without damaging the seed on the inside and making it where it won't grow. There's soaking. Soaking is where you take your seeds and you put them in a thing of water for like 8 hours, so like overnight. But you don't want to soak them too long. You'll waterlog them and they'll get messed up or they'll rot. They just won't grow right. And then, let's see. You can do this thing where, I forgot exactly what they called it, but I think it was like a hot bath. But you pour hot water over the seeds, usually around 190 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and leave it to cool overnight, and then plant them the next morning. I also read somewhere that the ones that float have a lower chance than the ones that sink to the bottom of the cup of germination. So when you put your seeds in a cup of water, the ones that sink to the bottom have a higher chance of germinating than those seeds that float to the top. We're going to test that and see how that works with some corn. And the last one is stratification. Stratification is the recreation of the natural cycle of the seeds. So, cold stratification would be where you have to take the seed, put it in 3 to 4 times the volume of the seed's amount of volume. 4 to 5 times its volume with wet, not dripping peat moss. And then you ziplock the bag and you put it in the fridge and you wait a couple months, you pull it out, you check it, and there should be primary white roots, and that's when you sow it into a container or into the ground. There's warm stratification, so it's about 68 degrees to 86 degrees for about a month, and same thing, keep it moist, look for the white primary seeds. Next, we have question 10. How much light do your seedlings need? Your seedlings need about 15 hours of light a day to be healthy and mature and produce fruit. So you want to make sure your seedlings are getting a lot of light, whether it be a light, which like a grow light, we have just these long, what are the lights we use called, Johnny?
Heat lamps.
No, they're not heat lamps. Those are for my birds. The long lights over our little greenhouse setup.
Oh,
They're just like fluorescent long bulbs. You hang them up. We'll show a clip at the end of our setup. And you can either have those lights or sunlight, but you need to make sure that your seedlings are getting the adequate amount of light, moisture, warmth, air circulation to help with their stem growth and the help with like keeping mold and stuff away. They need a lot of light, and it is more productive to encourage germination. Well, not really germination, because you sow your seeds and then you wait for them to sprout and then you put them under the light. So you definitely need light with your seedlings, not really with your seeds. So question 11. What are some short and long-lived seeds? So short and long-lived seeds are seeds that you can save for a certain amount of years. So short-lived seeds, like a year, are leeks, onions, parsley, and parsnips. Moderately lived seeds are Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, peas, kale, watermelon. And long-lived, that last more than like 2-3 years, sometimes 5 years, are beets, muskmelon, cucumber, mustard, and tomato seeds. So I have an example here of saving seeds. You want to make sure that you're saving your seeds. That's actually the next question on here. Let's see. Seed saving. All right. You want to save your seeds in a cool, dry place and in a sealed bag or container. So, for example, my mother-in-law has some lemon seeds in a stopper container. So it's got a little rubber seal and it's airtight, basically. I just love the aesthetic of the little glass container. You can also use something like this. We have this setup where she ordered these seeds, so everything that's in here she ordered, and it came with all sorts of different seeds. So we've got like spinach and lettuce. Look at the different sizes of those seeds, how different they look. We've got peppers. So this came with like a whole bunch of different seeds in there with their name and their weight, and then it came with this little piece of paper that has like what seeds she got, what's the best time to plant them, like how to plant them, germination time, all that. So everything of seeds in here is in a sealed bag. And then it's in a sealed container. So the mice and bugs and other animals can't get to your seeds if they're in something like that. Or like this. When you're planting your seeds, you can use all sorts of containers around the house, like egg cartons. You can use the plastic ones over and over again, or you can use the cardboard ones like this material right here. And that's compostable. You've got plastic see-through cups that we got from a friend. You can use cottage cheese containers. You can buy Jiffy peat pots. They're like the peat material, but they're like Jiffy pots that you can use. By the brand Jiffy, so just look for those. Another thing to talk about are tags. You can use a variety of things for tags. There's these little rectangle ones, these long plastic ones. You can use spoons or, what are they called? What are they called, Johnny? The popsicle sticks. You can use popsicle sticks. All of these are reusable. For example, this one says cucumber. And it says pickling. So this is a Boston pickling cucumber from last year. And we did plant some of these. So we'll just be able to take this, plunk it right down on the back, write how many and like the date. We did write that on the back of this one, but it just washed off after a season's worth of watering. So we did a video the other day at Walmart where I found some of these, but a little better quality. They're more plastic like this instead of like paper. For $1.84, so that was a huge steal. Okay, so we went from seed saving to seeds versus plants. So sometimes I wonder why the difference between starting seeds and plants, like which one's better, starting my own seeds or buying the plants from the store. And I have come up with a couple pros and cons. Pro for buying plants from the store, their roots are more established and you kind of like get a jump on the season. Con is that it's expensive, especially if you're not good and you kill your plants and then have to go and buy them again. And if you want to have a good sized garden, it can be expensive. A pro, you can get a jump start on the season. Con, you can get what you're paying. You get what you're paying for. So the other day, I did a video on getting a bargain on perennials at Walmart. It's early in the season and those plants have just started growing. That's a good deal. But if it's late in the season, August, September, and they're giving you a deal on these plants, it's probably because they're not looking so great. Last year, I think it was around Christmas time, I got a succulent that was like on sale for $1.99 and it wasn't looking too happy. The price on the side of it said regular price was $4.99. So I mean, I was able to bring it back to life, but if I hadn't have tried, it could have died, and that's because I paid $1.99 for something that's usually $5, and it was dying. So you get what you get. So pay attention, like I said, get the flowers that don't have the blooms. Pay attention to each and every one of the plants you're getting in your 6-packs. Transplant when you get home if you can. Keep it wet and damp, but not soaking wet. Question 14. Okay, so 14 isn't a question either. It's a example on testing your soil for its moisture. When let's say I were to fill this entire thing up with this medium and I completely soaked it, completely drenched it, let it drain out, and after a couple hours I come back and I grab it and I squeeze it. It's supposed to conform in my fist, but then when I open my hand and I poke it, it needs to crumble. And that's what you need for all your soil, your seed starter mix, your soil in your garden, in your raised beds, your compost, all of that needs to be able to crumble but still retain moisture. So that's the FIS test. And 15, last but not least, a little bit about flowers. So annuals, biennials, perennials, what are they? Annuals complete their life cycle in one season between spring and autumn. Half-hardy annuals are tender and can easily freeze and die. Sow indoors during spring and plant outdoors after the frost is completely gone. Biennials grow a little bit and then they'll they'll germinate and grow a little bit and then go dormant, and the next year they'll grow some more and then finally flower. And then perennials is a plant that lives for more than 1 year so long as you take care of it the right way. So I think that's it. That is 15 things that I asked myself during this whole process. Okay, so this is an example of our lights. It's dark right now, so you can't really see the upper one. We've got it hanging on our shelf. We've got our shelves labeled by bungee cords, and this is the one that's not on right now. So this is an example of what the other one looks like up there. We've got all sorts of sprouts under these lights. So, those are the perennials that I just bought the other day. So, that's a little bit about sowing seeds on March 16th, 2020.